Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night.
Yeah, yeah, but I can see I have the YouTube thing up anyway, so I'll see when it goes live. Um, yeah, my name is Nelson. Just coming in as a Chelsea fan, give my thoughts, give my honest opinions on some of the things we're all thinking, and yeah, nice to be here. Yeah, the Garnacho conundrum. Personally, no. No, I agree with you. I had no idea why we were linked with him. Obviously, everyone knew we needed a striker. This has been going on for a while, but just I like to look at things objectively. As much as I know that it's more because of we have terrible sporting directors, we don't have a striker right now. But during this January transfer window, there was not really anyone we could have gotten realistically that Chelsea fans would be happy and say, "Oh, this person, we all like this person. This person helps us across the end of the season." Because I mean, if we're being honest, any striker that is good enough to help Chelsea at this point has to be doing pretty well for that current club, and any striker doing pretty well for that current club is not going to be sold in January unless we're now entering the realms of bidding stupid money like dropping 60 million on Chris Woods or something like that. Because yeah, that's just how it is. But I didn't understand the logic behind the whole Garnacho thing. It didn't make a lot of sense. Which why in the end, when we didn't actually make a bid for him, I think it was just, oh, we're speaking to United, but nobody actually reported any bids going in or anything like that. So in the end, it's a bit of a confusing one because I have no idea what the plan was with that one, to be completely honest. But I hope it's not something we go back to in the summer because I like
Yes,
I like Garnacho well enough, but not for Chelsea, no.
it is definitely a confusing one because I think you actually did
respond to one of my ranting tweets about Garnacho, asking me, okay, what kind of winger are you looking at? And my issue wasn't particularly Garnacho. It's the fact that we need
Yeah.
something else. In my opinion, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tried to explain when I responded, is oh, we don't really need a winger. We have
yeah,
three wingers, and I think Jared George is good enough to supplement till whenever we get
yeah.
another one or Mudrik comes back. So,
Yeah,
like, my issue is we need a striker. Nicholas Jackson is running on fumes right now, and he's missing everything in front of him.
yeah,
Giri, or however you pronounce his name, Maresca doesn't trust him, obviously, because he only started him in one game, and he, like, look at the sick cosmic joke. He got injured like the game that he came on, the same game that Jackson too
yeah.
picked up a
No.
knock, and I don't know. The whole thing is just all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. I completely understand that. Like looking at it that way, but like I said, I wasn't surprised, which is why I think I didn't get as mad about the whole situation as some other fans, because I know we needed a striker, but when is what I kept asking people, like, okay, realistically, who do you think we could sign in January? No, I mean nobody could give me an answer that you'd say, oh, if this person signs for Chelsea today, we would all be fine. That kind of thing. Which is because we all want the Sescos and the Laps and the Osimens and all that, and that's all well and good, but nobody's going to give us that in January. And the fact that we spent, even I don't know why they left it so late, the last transfer window, but we spent pretty much the last week of the summer transfer window trying to sign Osimhen, shows that these people, they know that we need a striker. They are aware of the fact that we need a striker. It's just January is really the worst time to be trying to sign anybody, to be fair. So, which is why I don't want to say I understand why they did what they did. It doesn't justify going to explore a Garnacho deal. No, it doesn't justify that anyways. But yeah, there wasn't really anyone available, if we're being completely honest.
Well, before we move on to other topics on transfer window, I just want to say that I personally think, like I explained, or like I said, we are Chelsea Football Club. We can make whoever we want available. It's just a matter of whether they are willing to spend the money.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, but
now the issue with the whole striker situation, which is my own opinion, which might be unpopular, I don't think we need a glamorous striker. I don't think we needed an Osimhen in January. I don't think we could have even taken somebody usable on loan, because we only have Jackson. Like last season, everybody, when we had only Jackson, people were crying about him and him missing chances until he went away on AFCON, and then we had Broja, and everybody was looking at Broja like, oh damn, we actually missed Jackson. Then Jackson came back, they sent Broja on loan, or he got injured, I don't even remember. And since then it's just been Jackson. So we need another striker. In January, it doesn't. I agree with you. It doesn't need to be. It's difficult to get like the best strikers, but we didn't. We don't need a best striker. We just need someone to help Jackson and take him out of the limelight when he's missing all these chances, because it does no good for him or the club when he's missing those chances and we're losing or drawing games because of that. But yeah, moving on to the outgoings that we've had so far. I want to hear what you thought about Jao Felix, especially him coming in for, what was it, 40 million in the summer,
yeah,
and then leaving on loan
I,
six
I
months
think
later.
I think we can all agree that the Jao Felix thing was just a PSR move,
Yeah.
regardless of what anybody says. We didn't need him. We didn't want him initially, and we're going to get the other guy, Samu, instead in that same PSR deal. But I imagine Jorge Mendes has a really good relationship with the sporting directors slash owners, which is why he was able to squeeze in Jao Felix and knock Samu out of the other deal. And my own personal opinion is that it probably has something to do with us getting Neto from Wolves. Jorge Mendes probably helped us facilitate that in some way because from the way that deal happened, just straight out of nowhere, I imagine that there was Jorge Mendes has connections with Wolves. I imagine he
Yeah,
did
definitely.
some groundwork for us behind that, and we repaid him by taking João Felix out of Atletico Madrid. But that's just my own logic. That's my own reason
Yeah,
anyway. So
that makes some
I
sense.
think, yeah, I think we did need him, especially with Nkunku, because now Felix and Nkunku are two players that, in an alternate reality where they are both Chelsea players without Cole Palmer in the squad, they probably go on to do very well and have amazing seasons.
Yeah,
But the 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 Cole Palmer consequence is what Jao Felix and Nkunku are suffering from at Chelsea at the moment. Because Nkunku is a quality. Nobody can deny that Nkunku is a quality player.
yeah,
But
100%.
his best position is where Palmer currently plays, and no, Palmer is not getting benched for anybody,
Yeah,
regardless of whether he's on form, he's not on form. He's going to play every single match if possible, and
yeah.
that's just how it is.
Yeah, let me
So
jump in right there
I.
because you bring up another person that I wanted to talk about uh the time when Nkunku was rumored to be looking for a way to leave and Bayern were interested and were looking at Tel. And out of Joao Felix and Nkunku, if you were
Yeah,
going to pick one, forgetting the context behind their moves, the club and all that, who would you have rather
yeah.
sold?
Personally, I'd have sold Nkunku.
I
And
agree with you. I'm on the same wavelength.
this might be, yeah, this might be unpopular with some people, and that's fine. But watching Joao Felix, even the few games he plays for Chelsea in the Conference League and everything, I personally think Joao Felix should have gotten more game time one way or another. Either they could have taken Palmer off earlier in some matches or just rested in some matches and started Felix instead. Felix put in a lot of effort while playing for Chelsea this season. That brother was running, sprinting 30 yards back, going to make tackles and stuff like that. And the honest truth is that we don't see that from Nkunku. Nkunku is a good footballer in his own way. If against a low block, if I had to pick one player to come in and try whip up some magic against an Everton or a Bournemouth defending with 7 people in the box, I'm going to go with João Felix every day of the week. Honestly,
Yeah,
he might not be the best finisher, but he has those moments of magic that get fans off their seats and things like that. But I think Nkunku lives in the summer, one way or another. I don't think he's not long for Chelsea anymore. He needs to go back to Bayern or go to Inter, a team that plays with two strikers or something like that.
yeah. Actually,
Even,
I'm actually not sure about that because initially
uh, I can't
I
hear you
thought
again.
oh wait, uh, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, yeah,
All right. Initially, I thought the same thing that probably Nkunku will leave, but with the Joao Felix move away to AC Milan, I'm not so sure anymore because the main I feel I this is my own belief. I feel like when the main issue that was going on between Nkunku and Felix is there wasn't enough game time between two of them to share. And
yeah,
I think the move of Joao Felix away, and I think I saw some reports earlier today that Joao Felix was not on best terms with Maresca. And from that, I think it's heading towards a Joao Felix move in the summer. And if Joao Felix leaves, I don't think Nkunku leaves because especially now with Jackson injured and Gary injured, he gets more game time and more probability of starting, especially with Jackson in this poor form. So I'm not so sure anymore that Nkunku leaves because at the beginning of the summer I was thinking Nkunku probably leaves and we'll keep Joao Felix and Joao Felix
no,
is the backup 10.
no.
But with the way the January window went, I'm not so sure anymore.
Personally, I think the more likely scenario is Felix goes out, has a good or decent second half of season, comes back and stays, and Nkunku is the one that leaves. That's the way. Because Nkunku is going to get more game time the second half of the season, definitely.
Yeah.
And the consequence of having more game time in the Premier League is that we're going to have more bad performances for me. Because if Jackson is not fit, Gui is injured, Lukaku is going to have to play as a striker, which playing as a striker in the Premier League has been absolutely terrible for him, if we're being honest. He's not
Okay.
had any good game as a striker in the Premier League. So the only way Nkunku has a good second half of season is if Maresca tries to do some Cole Palmer false nine and Nkunku as a 10 or something like that. And even then, I don't know how it works, but
We'll
still
we'll get there later, but
yeah, yeah.
let's just stick to the transfers. And I think that's enough
Okay.
on Nkunku, honestly, because everything's up in the air and it's very hard to nail down what exactly would happen. But I also want to hear on your thoughts on Vega leaving.
Okay. So that one is a bit more straightforward for me because to be honest, I can completely understand why he wanted to leave and also why fans were mad that he was leaving. Because just to put it into context properly, when we signed Vega, he was nobody knew him from Basel,
Yeah,
and I'm not even sure if he had just a couple of appearances for Portugal under 21 at that point or something. Then fast forward 6 months or 6 months that we signed him, suddenly he started Portugal's 5 of their last 7 games as their left centre back. Now, if he goes second half of the season playing left back, centre mids, whatever Maresca's specialty is for him, there is that possibility that come World Cup or what? Sorry, not World Cup, the next European competition for Portugal, he doesn't retain that left centre back starting spot. And that's the biggest thing on his mind at the moment right now. So when he agrees to come to Chelsea as a backup player, he wasn't a Portugal international. Now he's Portugal starting centre back. And but the problem, the bigger issue is that Cole is Chelsea's poster boy at the moment.
yeah,
So there's almost no possibility that Maresca says, okay, Cole will go sit on the bench for a bit and let's give Vega a run in left centre back. And he knew that, so he's like, okay, let me just go somewhere else, go play centre back for yeah. So if he goes, his first 2 matches in Juventus now, he's been very good in that left centre
yeah.
back
I
position.
think he's a very
So
decent centre
if
back as well. Very
yeah,
good.
if he comes back in the summer and he's had a stronger second half of the season than Cole will, then at that point, serious conversations need to be had. So why
Yeah,
shouldn't he
definitely.
have like an actual shot at the starting role? But at that moment, he can't get that at Chelsea at the moment, which is why he left. So I can completely understand it, and I can also understand why fans were mad about it. So
Yeah, I understand it as well. It's just disappointing because I really liked Vega and I think he's a decent player. It's unfortunate that he always got shooed into playing midfield roles when he's more of a left back slash left centre back. But I wish him all the
yeah,
best. And when there was the whole frenzy about him being sold permanently and whatnot, I didn't believe he was going to leave permanently. I think he literally just wanted to play centre back so that he can get a more solid position in the Portugal team. Because let's be honest,
yeah,
in this
yeah,
modern
yeah,
day, if you're a Swiss Army knife, more times you get
yeah,
overlooked from.
definitely.
So moving on, what are your thoughts on Carney Chukwuemeka?
Yeah, with Kani, I don't know, genuinely. Kani's situation is one that confuses me, and I'm someone that tries to rationalize a lot of things, but I have no logic for his own. So the only thing I can come up with is that I think he was signed in the Todd Bowley sporting director experiment era, and they probably gave him an absurd salary, like 100K or something a week. And now the new sporting directors have come in and they're like, nope, this can't work. He should not be, and truthfully, he should not be earning anywhere near 100K, which I
Yeah,
think is what he's rumored to be on. So they are just like, yeah, we need to get him out one way or another, just to kind of balance the books. Because now we have people at Chelsea who are better than him. We're not talking about potential now. We all know he has potential to be a really good player. But there are some people at Chelsea who are probably better than him right now, but don't earn enough. I mean, they don't earn as much as him. Or like there are people that are actively contributing to the first team now in terms of like playing games and stuff like that, but they're not earning as much as him.
Yeah.
So long term, that's going to cause issues in the dressing room. So I think that I genuinely think they're just trying to force him out on that basis.
Well, I will give some pushback there because first off, I'm not certain that there are players in the team that are better than him because I think he's a very good player and he would have been a very bright spark for us last season because even up until he got injured, I think he scored 2 goals or 1 goal and he was instrumental in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
comeback in the game. I can't remember the game, but the first game of the season, he was very instrumental in those games right before he got injured, and I
yeah.
can see the potential. Now, I also don't think he's tr- he's being forced out the door. I think right now they're just unsure what to do with him because of his injury-riddled season, and this Dortmund move is the best move for him and for the club. And honestly, it's the best move that we've done this whole January window, in my opinion. So yeah,
But,
it's
but
something to
one
wait and
thing,
see. Mm-hmm.
yeah, one thing I would add on this whole kind of thing is, I understand the whole potential argument, and I do agree he has loads of potential, but a player is only good as like
The availability,
what's
yeah.
the way exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
I read something today. Now he's injured in Dortmund already.
Mm.
Like he's missing from that match day squad because he got injured in training yesterday. If he's out for 5 6 weeks, that's half of the second half of the season gone already. They're going to ship him back to Chelsea in the end, and it's going to start this whole thing is going to start again in the summer.
Yeah,
So is I feel like Lavia will probably end up in the same situation if his fitness issues don't improve like drastically soon,
yeah.
because there's only so long the club can keep on planning around somebody that is available for 10 matches a season, that
Yeah,
kind of thing. So
that's
but
fair.
yeah, we hope for the best. We'll
Yeah,
see how it
we hope for
goes.
the best because it's really a talent. Because this, what I'm going to say, is going to lead into the last person we'll talk on. Because honestly, I don't really care about this as leaving. But I think we had the potential of seeing a midfield trio in the future of Cassidy, Santos, and Kani Chukwuemeka. And I think those three, they are filled with so much talent that honestly, the sky was the limit if they all could have stayed at the club.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to Cassidy, okay, let me just go on with this because I think it's very disappointing because I saw a lot of potential in him and he's meant to be like a box crashing midfielder to get goals and all that. And in the Conference League, Maresca was using him more as a DM, and he played that role to perfection, in my opinion. Even though there were some sloppy moments in possession, but he almost always got out of the press. And whenever he got consistent game time, he seemed to be a revelation. And it's just unfortunate that there was literally no space for him in the team, and he has to leave. But I think he's one of the transfers that I think we would regret later in the future because I think he's going to be really, 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 really good. So, what do you think about Casted leaving?
Yeah, that one was a bit sad for me because out of all the young players we've signed, Santos and Cassidy were probably my two favorites, and I really hoped that it worked out well for him because I was like, yeah, this guy could be the next like proper goal scoring midfielder we could have at Chelsea.
Yeah,
Which is it's a shame the way things worked out, but I think it's more based on the way the coach wants to play. So obviously, every a new coach comes in, there are winners, there are losers. In this instance, it's Cassidy because the coach doesn't. The way the coach plays, we have like Caicedo's role, Enzo's role. Now, Cassidy is not a perfect fit for either of those two positions. We have two youngsters in Santos and Ugochukwu. If he continues to develop properly, those are two young players that are better fit for those roles long term. So I think the club just looked at that one as one of those. Yeah, we could keep him, continue to just keep him around the squad. But in long term, they knew that he's probably, especially if they're planning to stick with Maresca for the 4 or 5 years of his contract, they probably
Yeah.
figured that yeah, it's one of those ones where it doesn't really benefit the team keeping him long term. So if he goes to Torino now, becomes an exceptional midfielder, then he gets sold to Inter or AC Milan for 50, 60 million or whoever in the future. Then, yeah, Chelsea pocket a healthy 40% something of his transfer fee. Or, yeah, everybody's a winner in the end. So you win some, you lose some with kids. That's just the truth of the matter. So it
Yeah.
was sad, but yeah, I kind of understand. And I'm happy for him that he's gone somewhere where he can actually play. So in the end, we all won a little bit. So
Yeah. Before we move on to the incomings, I have Freddie in the chat, my friend I was talking about earlier. He's asking, do you think Chelsea have wasted money in signing players not needed?
oh yeah, definitely. That why they do it, I have no idea. I
Honestly,
I've given up on trying to understand the ways of the sporting directors at this point. I just each morning I wake up and I hope either they get sacked or there's a shift in the way they choose to run things. But I honestly don't know
honestly,
genuinely because
whenever
you
I
look
see
at
a tweet that says Chelsea signed or Chelsea interested in 19-year-old, I don't even finish the sentence. Like,
because I look at Chelsea squad and I'm like, how can you convince me that we've spent £1 billion on
honestly,
this in the last three
over a
years?
billion
Like
pounds.
it makes absolutely no sense. But
No
I mean,
sense.
somehow they did it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You see, and the thing is, I don't even completely blame the sporting directors because I feel like these
It's a
guys have come
directive
in
from
and
the owners. Yeah.
yeah, and the owners have told them, oh, this is the way we want to go.
Yeah.
So this is the blueprint and we want you to follow it. That's how me I perceive the situation. So I don't even 100% blame them. It's like a 50-50 blame between sporting directors and the
And
owners
the
for me.
owners. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree. So moving on to Chaloba, honestly, we'll just do them together because neither one of them are like neither one of them are significant enough for me to like talk about or expound on it. But yeah, we'll talk about Chaloba, Matisse, Malgu. I don't. Apologies, I don't know how to pronounce it, and
yeah, yeah,
Mamadou Sarr. I think that's his name.
yeah.
We needed a centre back, a recall Chaloba, and sign a 19-year-old that will come in summer. Blows my mind.
Yeah, I think Mamadou Sarr is probably likely never going to play for Chelsea, if we're being completely honest. I feel like it's one of those bookkeeping deals that they did to inject
So,
some money into Strasbourg so that
yeah,
they could sign some other players, and we'll probably end up loaning him back to Strasbourg next season or something like that.
yeah,
I don't see it. I imagine we're probably going to go spend big on another centre back in the summer, maybe one of the two Bournemouth centre backs or somebody else. Mamadou Sarr, I don't see him playing for Chelsea. If I'm being completely honest, not that he's not a good player. I've not watched him enough to say he's a bad
yeah. I
player, but
honestly don't
that's
know
just the way
nothing
it seems
about.
to me.
I know nothing about the Matisse and the Mamadou Sarr. Both of them, nothing.
Yeah, no, I
And
think,
honestly,
yeah, I think,
I'm not even looking to do any research or learn it. Like as until
oh
they play
no,
for us, until I see their names on the starting lineup, I honestly do not care.
yeah, I think the Mattis guy signing is obviously one looking to the future. The scenario when we call back Andre Santos from Strasbourg,
Yeah,
so we send that guy over there as a peace offering, so that Strasbourg fans don't kill us. Because the thing Chelsea fans need to understand now is that unfortunately Chelsea is no longer just Chelsea.
yeah.
So when these people are making transfer decisions, is why when everybody was saying, "Oh, recall Santos," they're not going to recall Santos because if they recall Santos and derail Strasbourg season, then that's
They
bad
are
for
going
the
to
entire.
revolt.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad for the entire business because if
Yeah,
Chelsea does well but Strasbourg doesn't do well, that's Bluco has a mess. So
yeah,
they need both Chelsea and Strasbourg to do it, which is why they wouldn't recall Andre Santos mid-season. So I imagine Santos comes back next season and we send this guy over there for a couple of years to go replace him, and that's that.
yeah.
So I'm not expecting too much from him, honestly.
Jehovah's Son.
Yeah, I think Chalobah is one of those ones where when he has really good days, he also has relatively bad days as well, and he's not consistent enough be be the level of centre back that Chelsea fans are always proclaiming we need.
Yeah,
So you go on Twitter every day and everybody say, "Oh, we need a world class centre back. We need a world class centre back." You can't make that statement and go ask for Chaloba. It doesn't work out that way. So I think it's
like
one of those ones where he's yes,
they
no, sorry.
rely on the crutch that he is probably better than Disasi and Badiashile, but neither one of them are good. So the bar shouldn't be, oh, he's better than Disasi.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with a lot of Chelsea fans when you're making arguments. For them, it's always very black and white. So I'm like, if I say Chaluba is bad, that does not mean Disasi is good. Or if you say Chaluba is better than Disasi, that doesn't mean that Chaluba is good as well. It just means that he's less bad than Disasi. They can both be shit. They can both be bad. No, but that's the thing that Chelsea fans don't really understand. So just as an example, I've had this argument a lot of the time with people, the whole winger situation, Madueke, Neto, Sancho, and me, I'm of the opinion neither of them are good enough, at least at this moment. Next season they could
Fair
become
enough.
better. That's all
Yeah.
well and good. So, but whenever I say somebody, oh, I don't think Madueke is good enough or something, or I don't think Neto is good enough, the default reaction is always, oh, but he's better than Neto and Sancho. I'm like, yes, I agree, but all three of them are bad. Like,
Honestly,
it's not
I can't even put either one of them above the other. They are all the same level to me.
exactly. So,
Neto has been supremely underwhelming. Because when we signed him,
yeah,
I was
no,
really
he's
excited because of what he did at Wolves, and I was really excited to see
yeah.
him play and the
I
chances
think
he'll create and goals he'll score. But it's been really underwhelming, and Madueke is so inconsistent. In the same game, he does something great and does something unspeakable, and at times his touch is all over the place, but he's still our most impactful winger. That's the thing that I don't understand
yeah,
when
yeah,
people focus on Madueke. Regardless of how bad he is still our most
yeah.
impactful winger.
But you see, that's the thing. The reason why people get really mad at Madueke is because out of all of them, he's the one that has given them hope. So when somebody that you have see, the reason people don't get mad at Neto is because the expectations are already on the floor. Since he came in, he's been bad.
Hmm,
He's been consistently underwhelming. Madueke, he goes up, he comes down. He had
hmm.
hat trick against Wolves, scored for a couple of games, then all of a sudden nothing. So because people already had those higher expectations that he can perform, so then when he doesn't perform, they double down on him like, oh, he's really bad. That's the thing.
Honest-
So
Honestly, I think it's something else, but we'll leave that for another day.
yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
that's a topic for another day.
on Before we talk about the future window to come, as a whole, how would you rate the January window just gone?
I, objectively, I would say like a 3, a 2, because because I was having this conversation with my brother who's a United fan just last week when I was at this place, and Chelsea and United are probably the only two teams in the Premier League that ended the window significantly weaker than they were at the start of the window. So we lost Joao Felix, we lost Renato Vega, we lost Disasi, we lost Kanye Chukwemeka. No replacements.
The only
Nothing.
person we brought in
These
was Chalobah.
yeah, these are all players that they may have been part of the B team, but that B team helped us significantly at the start. The reason why our players could go on that long unbeaten run in the Premier League was
Yeah.
because they didn't have to play in Europe.
Yeah. True.
So now, if we're shipping out B team players, Premier League players need to be playing 2 times a week consistently, which makes it
Yeah.
more difficult to build any kind. So yeah, it's no, it's a
Well,
significantly disappointing
some
window
will make
for
an
me.
argument that when you play 2 times a week, there's a chance that you get better because you don't have that long break anymore. But
No, but I
um,
mean, look at Jackson. Jackson looks exhausted.
yeah, but that's
He's
not because I don't think Jackson is exhausted because of 2 times a week or all of that. Even though yes, his form did start dipping when he started playing 2 times a week, but I think the main issue with Jackson is he needs someone else. He can't do it alone because on his
yeah,
own
that's what I'm
he's
saying
not
because
good enough or as a whole. As a striker, he's not good enough as a
yeah,
striker to carry the team, and then to play him 2 times a week
yeah,
just compounds it. But I think the whole team, I think they are good enough because Maresca rotates quite a bit, except the midfielders Caicedo and Enzo, who are the people that I'm more worried about
they,
because we don't
they,
really have cover for those positions.
you know, I
Um,
know we have Matisse now. All is well. We have Matisse.
anyway, me personally, I'll give the window a 1 because any good that they could
Yeah,
have done was just tarnished by being linked with Garnacho. Uh, yeah,
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I can't
yeah.
even argue with that.
So yeah, moving away from the transfer window, Wahala. What do you think about our recent form?
Uh, it it was expected at some point. That's what me. I think when we're having that period of really good form, I was telling a couple of friends and my brother then that yeah, it's going to go to shit at some point,
Yeah.
and so we're going to struggle for a while. But I didn't think it would go on this long.
Mm-hmm.
I hope
Sure.
with the West Ham game things have turned the corner a bit because our upcoming fixtures look winnable at least. So I
I think
hope.
we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, because I mean the thing Brighton, I like playing Brighton because they will never park the bus. So they always give you
True.
a good opportunity to put up a
Yeah.
fight.
True.
So it just depends on how terrible you are. But yeah,
Although I would say whenever unanimously the Chelsea fan base is confident, I get worried.
yeah, no, it always ends badly.
Yeah. So I would just say that because
no,
everybody seems to say that, oh, we're going to trash
no.
Brighton, and it
See,
makes me
um,
a little bit worried
the
of what might happen tonight.
the last time I was confident as a Chelsea fan before a game was when Thomas Tuchel was our coach.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie. There's no team we play against now that before the game I look at and I think, oh, we're definitely going to beat these people. I mean, Ipswich beat us 2-0. Ipswich beat us 2-0. The only people you could make the argument for are like Southampton and Leicester,
Yeah, thinking about it.
possibly.
I think Southampton, I was very,
Yeah,
very confident we're going to batter them.
those are the only teams you could possibly make that argument for.
Mm.
And that's even Southampton then, under the previous coach, were really bad. Under the new coach, they seem to stabilize a little bit.
Yeah, a
So
little bit. But they're
I'm not
still
even
getting
100%
relegated
confident.
anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. But when they face Chelsea now, they're going to turn to prime Barcelona. So that's a
Fair
problem.
enough.
But yeah,
They always do. And we just seem to
yeah,
always get the worst teams. I don't know how to explain it. Like when right before we played Man United, when they were at the worst of their worst, they sack Ten Hag and enter new manager once we play them. We don't beat them. When we're about to play Man City in the worst form of their life, we play them when they are getting form and before the finalists start scoring. De Bruyne is back. Haaland has scored a few goals.
yeah,
Like every time we play all these teams, like when we're about to play Everton or I don't even know. Oh no, we played Everton with Sondage, but after we played them, then they sacked Sondage. Like I don't know. It just seems to happen all the time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
For the recent form, I think it started. I like you. I expected it to happen. I actually expected this to have been at the beginning of the season, and then for us to get
Yeah,
better as the season goes on. But law of averages, we started pretty well, and we're bound to have a bad spell. So this is a bad spell. Like you, I was also surprised that it lasted that long, 5 games without a win, and
yeah,
it was a horrendous form. But I think it started because of that the fixture congestion in December, like you mentioned, this the team started having to play 2 times a week, and that was the first time they had to do it the whole season because the B team were always played the Conference League or the lower league sides that we faced in the cups.
yeah.
And the one time they even faced a Premier League opponent in Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, they even lost. So, yeah, I think that's what started it. But I think it kept snowballing because the players started getting they lost their confidence. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. They lost their
Yeah, I agree.
confidence. Jackson is tired and on low confidence, which is not a good mix. Nkunku
Yeah,
is already disillusioned about being at the club and not getting starts.
yeah. I
And
think I think
and
the
Palm,
I think the
sorry, let me
conference
finish.
process.
Let me finish the thought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Palmer is carrying knocks from people kicking him for half the season, and he's not at his sparkling best anymore. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I have no words for the defense. We have Sanchez there. Like I don't talk about him because it's boring. If I talk about him too
Yeah,
much, I
no.
start insulting and cursing, and I don't like doing that. So, but yeah, I think that's what started it, and I do expect us to get out of this. I mentioned it in the video that I made some days ago. It's coming out, I think, tomorrow. That Maresca had this period when he was at Leicester last season. Like I think this same January, December period, he also had like a deep because they were flying high in the league, they were so many points ahead, and they hit this December, January period and then formed dates, but then they eventually got it back and won the league. So I expect us to get back in I expect us to get back to winning ways, like comfortably winning games, but don't think we'll go on that unbeaten run that we had in that October, November period, and I think some of December.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's what I think about our
Yeah,
form so far. Hmm.
I think the conference league has done more harm than good for us this season because that B team squad, which was flying in the conference league, then the problem with our congestion started with the fact that we could not trust B team squad players to play in the Premier League, regardless
Yeah,
of. I mean, Mark Gill is top scorer in the Conference League, like 7 goals, but he can't start a game for us in the PL,
yeah,
that kind of thing, because we know that deep that we all know that regardless of how they perform, so they're
it
not
means
actually
nothing.
good enough to play.
Yeah,
Exactly. So Nkunku was club top scorer at like 13 goals for the longest time because he was start padding in the Conference League and
yeah,
in the League Cups and all those type of things. So those things did more harm than good for us in a way, because if we were in the Europa League at the very least
yeah. At least
with
you'd have
higher
been
level
facing
opposition,
proper oppositions, and
exactly,
when they come up against teams like Southampton, Ipswich, like they will at least be on similar level.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So that I think that contributed majorly to
yeah, I can
that
see
issue
that.
back at the start of December. Yeah. So, but it is what it is.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on the City game?
Ah, yeah. I didn't expect us to win that game. I shared no confidence with in the. I saw so many fans saying, "Oh, Chelsea 3, City 1, Chelsea 2, City 1, this and that," and I was like, "Ooh, where did you guys pick up this confidence from?" Because, yeah, no, it was one of those ones. I would say I knew how it was going to go, but Chelsea almost never turn up against City until when we concede. So we never start to play well against City until when they've scored, which is the problem. And the problem with City is when they score one, they tend to score more than one. So it all went downhill very quickly, and I genuinely wasn't surprised at all. Chalobah's performance was mm-mm. Colwill
You
has been pretty has no Colwill has been pretty bad as well for the last 5 games or so, and
wait, wasn't he
now
injured though? I think he just came back against against City. Because that's
yeah
when I looked at the lineup we had against City, that was the only thing I looked at and I was like, I'm not sure about this Cole Wills in the starting lineup. Because every time
no
we
yeah
play
but
City, Haaland always bullies him. Always. I've never seen
yeah
him
mm,
get the better of Haaland in any situation. Every time we play, every
yeah
time I've seen them play
yeah
against each other. Now, the City game,
even
I was on the other side. I actually thought we could win. I didn't think we would win, but I thought we could win because, like you mentioned, again, with Brighton, they don't sit back. They play up, they play a high line, they leave spacing behind, and we can exploit that. So I thought, okay, even though their form is coming back, they are still not City. You
yeah
understand? So I thought we could
yeah
actually do something here. When we scored the first goal, I was like, okay, we might do something. But more, I think, in my opinion, yes, Chalobah and Sanchez were calamitous, but I think Maresca
yeah
lost
but
us the game. I
yeah
think
Maresca
Maresca
got
lost
it
us the game
massively
because
wrong.
the second half, even Pep dropped the City line back. Like this, he saw how many chances we're getting from going in behind, and he dropped the line back. But
Yeah
Maresca did not drop the line back, and all their 3 goals came from a ball over the top. Like,
yeah
how do you watch that three happen 3 times and you still don't do anything about it? I don't know.
yeah I completely agree. I think that was one of the matches where yeah, Maresca he lost it. There's no why we place that high line is going to be one of the mysteries of the universe. I don't think there's ever going to be a logical explanation for it. I heard what he said in the press conference afterwards, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me either, because it was very obvious from the first time that it wasn't working. If
Yeah,
we had stopped it at halftime, we would still have had a pretty decent chance of getting something out of that game. But yeah, it's one of those ones. I think the problem is, as much as the team is a really young team, Maresca is also a really young coach. So he's probably just as inexperienced as most of these players in terms of like coaching at the top level and stuff like that. So the man is going through a learning curve as well. And I think that was one of the matches that shows that yeah, this guy is he while he similarly to most of the players in our squad, while he has the potential to be like a really, really top manager in the future, but he's not there yet because he still makes those kinds of mistakes at
yeah.
times. That kind of and doesn't make changes like to rectify it quick enough sometimes. So, but yeah,
Yeah, so now that we're on the topic of Maresca, do you think he is someone that we can realistically stick with? Because I am of the thought that regardless of what happens this season, I think majority
mm,
of it would not be his fault. Majority of the bad things that will happen this season is as a result of poor squad planning
yeah,
and not having a striker.
yeah,
But after, when we get to next season, there is significantly more pressure on him to deliver, especially having the time to settle and implement your style and all of that in the first season, which a lot of managers before him did not get. Managers like Potter, managers like Pochettino, well, to some extent, Tuchel under this management. So, because the way I look at it, I'm not certain. I have seen a lot of good things from him. I think he's a very good manager, but his naivety still makes an appearance every now and again. So, what do you think about Maresca so far?
yeah. Like I said, I think definitely he same with the rest of the squad. He has potential to be a really good coach, and this is pretty much like his third third full season and like managing an actual club, not an under 21 team or something. So this is somebody that is still learning as well. So I think personally for me, he's done more good than bad. And even in this our period of poor form, if we had an Osimhen or Sesko or somebody else to partner, like to take off the load from Jackson at some point during that poor period of form, we could realistically have won more of those games, or at least gotten draws rather than losing some of them, that kind of thing. So I think in an ideal world where we have a balanced squad, we have competent players like both in the starting 11 and backing them up. I think Maresca is probably sitting third on the table at this moment, and things are not quite as bad as they would be right now. But obviously now anything that doesn't go well on the pitch, Maresca is so automatically blame kind of shifts to him. Oh, he couldn't make. And there were a couple of matches where people were complaining, oh, he didn't make changes quick enough. But realistically, you look at the bench, who is he going to bring on? Like, if we're having, he's not going to take off Palmer because Palmer can always have that moment of magic, whether it's in the first minute or the 90th minute. Jackson is running on fumes, but we've seen that Nkuku as a striker in the Premier League is absolutely useless. It's not helping anybody. The wingers, it's a roll of the dice. You don't know what you're getting with them. So it's one of those things. I think he's good, but he's naive, as you said. So it's one of those things where you hope he grows with the squad, and with time, while in 1 2 years, the entire level of both the squad and the manager has gone up 10 20%, and we're looking like a more stable team come next season. That kind of thing.
Well, I'll give some pushback because I do think, even though yes, the bench is not impressive, I do think there are still some options that he could have done in those games. Because in the beginning of the season, especially when we are doing well, he always made early subs, and more times those early subs changed the game. Like when we played Bournemouth away, and he got on Sancho at halftime, and then he changed the whole game. He gave an assist, Nkunku scored the winner, and there have been instances like that throughout the season that he has done things like that. And then in that bad spell, for some reason, he just did not do any of that. And it's it's unfortunate that he does not trust Joao Felix at all. Because in those games, I think Joao Felix could have helped us if he came on earlier and he could have. Because no matter what you say about Joao Felix, whether he doesn't have the end product that is required to be at the top team and whatnot, but he still causes issues. He still creates chances. He still beats defenders. He still takes shots. Unlike Sancho that doesn't
Yeah.
take shots, unlike Madueke that almost always misses the target, and Jackson that during that period it was just anonymous. So I do think there were things that he could have done. Although I do agree with you that it will be reviewed next season, because this season it's very hard to tell what level exactly
Yeah.
he is at. But I am worried a bit about his inability to beat the big teams, because the only big team that we've beaten so far this season is Tottenham, and we always beat Tottenham. Even when Lampard was in charge, we
No,
beat
but
Tottenham.
but but realistically, let's all be honest as Chelsea fans. We look at our squad, we look at our coach. How many people thought we were going to beat Arsenal, Man City, or Liverpool this season? These are teams that all have better squads on paper, in theory, in practice. They all have better managers, and they've been with their teams long. Okay, except Liverpool. Liverpool has a new manager as well, but Liverpool already had a world class player in pretty much every position. They have a well balanced squad that's been together for like 4 or 5 years at this point. So realistically, everybody says, "Oh, we're not beating the big teams. We're not beating the big teams." But the truth of the matter is that very difficult to beat the big teams, and that's fine. Me, I'm not mad if we don't beat the big teams yet, because I genuinely was not expecting us to beat the big teams. I'm more concerned with us not beating the Fulhams and the Ipswiches and those teams. That's fine. If you win, what do they call it, 16. If you win against all the 15 smaller teams, home and away, you probably win the league, even if you lose against all the big teams. So beating big teams is great for bragging, yes. But realistically, this season I wasn't expecting much in terms of that.
I
Now,
agree with
next
you to a
season,
certain extent.
yeah, next season I would push more on Maresca beating these other teams. Like, oh, we've had more time, especially if there's like improvements to the squad. I can say, okay, now I expect us, yeah, we beat Tottenham. We should be beating Arsenal at some point, either this season or next season. Liverpool, that's a completely different question. We did pretty well against Liverpool this season, but I didn't expect us to beat them, if I'm being honest, because they've been really good. City, the only reason why anybody is saying, oh, we should have beaten City is because, well, City have in this moment of bad form, but City have better players than us in every aspect. Imagine if we had
Better
Haaland.
but
Just
underperforming though. That's the
it
that's the issue
doesn't see
that
that that's
it
no
matters.
but
It matters
no
because
but
our midfield should not be dominated by Kovacic at 30, whatever he is. Like
no but
we
that's the thing.
I would say I would wait, let me give a bit of pushback here because
Yeah.
even though if you look at it on paper logically, that okay, yes, you don't need to beat the big teams to win the league, but beating the big teams gives the team a certain level of confidence that then rolls over to beating the smaller teams. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say when we played, when we played Liverpool, if we beat Liverpool, well, I think we lost, or even if we drew, there would have been so much more confidence in the team that I think it should have pushed them to even score more and perform better. And my main issue is not even just that we don't beat the big teams. It's that whenever we play the big teams, I think bar Arsenal, we have our worst performances when we play them. We don't play well. When we played Liverpool, Liverpool was the worst game that I watched from us this season. When we played Man City, we were shocking as well. When we played Arsenal, I think we put up a fight, but it still wasn't enough. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not just that we don't beat them, it's that we don't even perform well. Like for a first season, new manager, if you perform well and don't win, like the first game that we played against Man City, I can accept that. But don't just capitulate. Like set the team up better in a better position to at least have a fight in these games. That's my main criticism of him so far with the whole big team thing. Like I said, I agree with you to a certain extent that we you don't to win the league you don't need to beat all the big teams. You maybe beat one or two, or and you can even draw the rest, or even draw all of them, and you still have a chance to win the league. But and I'm also with you in the fact that we struggled against Ipswich, Fulham, Crystal Palace, and whatnot. But the big team thing next season, it is going to come into play because that is where psychologically a lot of these players get their confidence from.
Yeah, that's why I said right at the start that yeah, this season I have no expectations in terms of big teams. I said next season, yeah, I'm going to be looking towards that more. My own concern this season is beat the small teams. That's because at the start of the season, let's be honest, nobody's prediction was Chelsea was going to finish fourth. We got to a point that people pretty much considered it a miracle, and now the expectation is, oh, Chelsea should beat Man City, Chelsea should beat Liverpool. It's not going to happen, and it's great to be to have wishful thinking about it and be optimistic. Look ahead for next season. That's all well and good, but it wasn't going to happen this season. That's just the truth of the matter. And yes, I do agree that we could be set up better for most of those games, and we do have our worst performances against those teams for whatever reason. Completely agree with that. Next season, we can focus on that a bit more now, that kind of thing. But I think the focus on this season should be less performances like Fulham and Ipswich. Those should never happen again.
Yeah,
Now, when we've
agreed.
gotten to the point where those don't happen again, we can now turn our focus to okay, let's go slay the dragons that are Liverpool and Arsenal and Man City, that kind of thing. Because I mean, football in the Premier League is too unpredictable. You could beat City today. Look at Tottenham. Tottenham beat City, and then lost to a Division Two team the following week, which is why I don't completely agree that beating big teams like improves your players.
Fair
Small
enough.
teams beat big teams one week, and the next team they get piped 5-0 or 6-0. So it happens. But yeah, anyways, we'll see how it goes next season. We'll see how it goes.
Fair enough. Um, so before we round up, rounding down, I'd like to ask, is there a story behind you being a Chelsea fan?
Yeah, I mean that one is a tricky one because I mean to be fair, for as long as I can remember watching football, I've always been a Chelsea fan. If you ask me the exact moment I became a Chelsea fan, I probably don't have a a practical answer to that. But I think for me, it was growing up and seeing all the African players, the Michels, the Drogbas, Kalu, all of them, all the black players in Chelsea. It just felt like, oh, if all these people are there, then yeah, I'm going to support them, that kind of thing. So there wasn't really any logic behind it. It was just, oh, like I see my people there, so that's where I'm going, that kind of thing. And yeah, 20 years down the line, I'm still here for whatever reason. Even though these people are trying their best to make me stop supporting Chelsea, but yeah, I'm still here. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. So the lineup for the Brighton game is out. Have you seen it yet?
Oh, okay. No, no, no. I have a look now and
Yeah,
know
let's have
whether
a
I'm going to go
look.
to bed early tonight.
Let's have a look and then we'll give our predictions for the game and we'll call it a day.
I, I,
So we have
I.
Nkunku as striker, Sancho left wing, Neto right wing, Palmer, of course, Caicedo, and Drewsby Hall. Interesting.
Yeah,
Kukurea
yeah,
left back, Chaloba, Tosin, and Gusto, no James. Interesting. Sanchez starting. Controversial, but I think is a good sign. I think it's a
yeah.
good
It
sign.
means that
It
Jorgensen
means, yeah,
stays in the
Jorgensen
league.
probably stays in the Premier League. I think that's a good sign. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, the team is not as strong as it could be, but with injuries
yeah, yeah.
and
No,
knocks
but
and
I
all of
mean,
that,
realistically, on paper, the squad should be
yeah,
fine in
should be
theory.
fine.
Because Dewsbury Hall was supposed to be the Enzo Fernandez cover.
Yeah,
So
true.
Enzo not playing and Dewsbury Hall playing, that should technically. My biggest worry is Nkunku, obviously as a striker, because like I said, he's never really performed as a striker. But I'm also optimistic about the fact that it's Brighton. Brighton don't defend deep. Brighton
Yeah,
always give you opportunities. So he probably has a lot more space to work in today. And whether he plays as kind of like a false nine or something and it works out better that way, we'll see. So I mean I'm optimistic. I want to say Chelsea will win. There's
remember
definitely
we're
not going to be
away.
a clean sheet because
Brighton are home.
yeah, yeah, there's definitely not going to be a clean sheet because Big Rob is in the post. So if I had to guess, I would say a 2-1 or a 3-1, something like that. That's how I imagine it's going. But this is me putting on my optimistic Chelsea fan hat today because I don't want my weekends to be ruined. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. Like you said, Highline galore. Um,
Yeah,
I can see this being like a 3-2 Chelsea win, 4-2 Chelsea win,
yeah,
or go
yeah,
to
possibly.
penalty, or 3-3 go to penalties. But I think we'll win the game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean
But if
with
I was
with
going
these
to,
people, you can.
if gone to my head, I had to pick one. I think I would say 3-2 because I
Yeah,
struggle to see us scoring
well,
more than 3 goals. Well, yeah,
yeah. I mean, but your boy Matisse is on the bench, so good for him. Matisse made it to the bench, so good
yes.
good for
You
him.
know
Good for
what?
him.
I actually hope he comes on. I actually do hope
Yeah,
he
yeah,
comes on.
yeah. I do because we do need help in center midfield one way or another. And
Yeah.
if he comes in and he plays, that's great. Let's give him some minutes. Let's see whether he can actually help us. That's great.
Yeah,
Or at least
yeah,
until
yeah,
Santos
yeah.
comes back next
At
season.
least let's see
So
what he can actually do because I'm not going back to do
yeah.
research and watching comps because I heard that he only has eight full
Yeah,
90
he's
minutes.
only
Like fam,
he's only started about 9 games
yeah,
for
like
Saint
what?
Etienne before we signed him. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where he was a under 21 player, that beat team player, and the club needed money, so they fast tracked him to the first team to hype him up, so some
Yeah,
big team comes to buy him, that kind of thing. I think that's what happened, but yeah, we'll see. As long as the Chelsea player, I shall support him. God, our injury list is starting to look like last season's again. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting 7 injured players on our
honestly,
injury list now. It's
honestly.
starting to look a
And
bit depressing.
but do you know what is sad about this thing? It's getting longer because we record some injured players like Solina,
Injured players, yeah,
Fofana, that
yeah,
Fofana. Uh,
yeah. Fair
and
enough,
our two
fair enough. I
strikers
mean,
got injured in one game. Like it's just a sick
the
cosmic joke.
the funniest bit about this whole transfer with the ended now is if Vega had stayed, he could possibly be playing centre back right now. You know,
Yeah.
that's the funniest bit about this whole thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyways,
Anyway,
we'll see how it all works out.
yeah, it has been nice having you on. Do you have anything to plug? Social media or anything?
Um, not really. I guess I can. You have my Twitter handle. Thing. I don't know how it works. So this is my first time on one of these. So if,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right, no problem. It's nice to have you. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share if you want. And good night.
Yeah.